let's keep it going and bring on board Jayen Mehta, MD at Amul India, joining in with us. Thank you so much, Mr. Mehta, for joining in with us. 50 years celebration. We did have Mr. Modi, who was Prime Minister Modi, who was there as well. And obviously there is a lot of comments that came in because he wants Amul to reach the globe as well, wants it to be a big hub, and said it's a synonymous to trust, development, and public participation that we've seen as well. Surely a lot of everyone relates to Amul, but in terms of the company's strategy, growth, becoming a power hub and global hub, how do you see that?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. Yes, the Golden Jubilee celebration of 50 years of GCMMF, which was attended by Honorable Prime Minister, and the vision he gave for Amul to be the best and the strongest dairy brand in the world is what actually is inspirational for all of us and the 36 lakh farmers that own Amul. Having said that, this is an organization which is deeply rooted into the rural society. 18,600 villages, 36 lakh farmer members. It's the world's largest farmer-owned cooperative. So obviously the expectations are also high. And the business that we are in, milk, is of course the biggest business in FMCG, food, agriculture, all put together. And the turnover that we expect to have this year for the Amul brand will be almost 80. We've been growing at double digit, and we want to continue on that momentum. And as you are aware, last year's entire volume, it was volume growth because there was no increase in price of milk per se. So on the whole, the trajectory of the organization, all the constituents with 100 dairy plants, 18 district unions is all pretty much on the rise. The demand for all the products has been pretty good, encouraging in high double digits, so which is also very, very motivating.
Mr. Mehta, I just want to know what number were you saying that we are expecting in terms of the revenue target for this year that you would close at?
Last year, Amul brand turnover was about 72,000 crores. And going by the double-digit growth that we have, it will be definitely 80,000 crores for the year ending March. That's by end of this month. And GCF turnover last year was about 55,000 crores. It will cross 60,000 crores. So all in all, we are managing this double-digit growth and we'll continue to build on this in the coming years.
Do you expect the upcoming summer season already to see a big uptick in your volumes as well? What are the early signs telling you about what kind of demand you'd see at the onset of summer?
I think the February month was quite good, and March, of course, the first 2 weeks are already passed, and the results are pretty good. The huge uptick in demand of ice creams, in beverages, in dahi, in buttermilk. I mean, most of our products that way are impulse products driven by summer. Last year, summer season was not so good. Still, ice cream, we managed about 25-30% growth. And this year, we expect much more growth because this summer will be a normal summer. And the same applies to beverages also, same applies to buttermilk, same applies to dahi, and the rest of the product categories.
Okay. Wanted to understand your outlook as well on how the cheese products are doing. And do you think that the performance here is expected to improve?
Yes, of course. Cheese is one of our very strong products in our portfolio. But let me tell you, going by the estimation of demand and the growth we are finding across categories, we are increasing the capacity by almost 55% in this fiscal. We are the largest manufacturers and the brand of cheese in the country. Our market share is more than 70, in the range of 70 to 75%, slightly less than butter, which is about 85%. So you can assume and estimate that the number 2, 3, 4 brands are all in single-digit market share and almost 1/10 or 1/20th of the volume that we do. So that way, we are very optimistic about this category. The expansion plans, as I mentioned, is more than 55% in the volume capacities that we are planning to expand. And the huge demand, both in the consumer segment, in the HoReCa segment, the institutional segment, is going to spur up. And we will be surely gaining very good volumes and market share in this product category as well.
Okay, gaining market share in this category is what you're expecting. But there's one concern because the cacao prices have seen a very sharp increase in the last 1 year when you're looking at it. So that chocolate side, which is obviously fairly newer for Amul as well, last couple of years where we've been. Any impact in terms of the pricing? Is there where we would see a sharp price increase coming in for the company now?
The major the increase in the price was in cocoa butter. And thanks to possibly huge speculation internationally, that's going to happen. India, fortunately, also manufactures cocoa beans from cocoa beans to cocoa butter and the cocoa powder and the derivatives. So that way, we are slightly insulated because Camco is a cooperative and we have a strong association with that. Amul is the number one brand in the dark chocolate. So which means that our exposure to cocoa is much higher. But yes, we will be taking a very calibrated increase. I'll not say a sharp increase in prices because Amul, after all, is a value for money brand. But yes, you will see the impact of the increase in cocoa prices in the other products like ice creams, beverages, and so on. So the industry will be bracing in for a surprisingly high increase in price of cocoa butter. But fortunately, since we do have in-house manufacturing capabilities, we are slightly better off than the rest.
Calibrated increase is what you're saying as well, but what would like the percent be? Because you even mentioned ice cream also, where one could see an increase coming in. So how much would that increase be? By when would we start seeing that? Maybe Q1 FY25 or even in the next couple of months is where we could expect the increase?
That's next couple of months only, I'm sure, because you can't wait for a prolonged increase in these prices. But I'm sure since our pricing is quite competitive, consumers will not be able to feel the pinch. And that too, since we sell larger bars, it's much more value for money.
Okay. Mr. Mehta, the concern around that recovery in rural is still there. If you could give us an on-ground situation of, the demand in rural versus urban, where and what is rural really buying right now in terms of product? What side of the products for Amul? Is it the premium side, mass side? What is doing well?
See, the data for most of the FMCG companies that you reported for the last quarter of the previous year, which is October to December, was negative or 1 to 2% growth. In that period also, we grew by double digits. Having said that, Amul is a very strong distribution organization and our penetration is deeply increasing into the rural areas. So maybe about a few years back, we were not into these 10K, 5K towns. We are now very, very deeply entrenched into all the towns with population of 5,000 and 10,000. Then the product mix. Having value for money pricing in small packs is actually driving demand. And let me tell you, 1/3 of our turnover comes from towns with less than population of 20,000. So, which is a very, very sizable number. And you can imagine the penetration of small pouches for milk itself, the buttermilk, the dahi, ice creams, of course, price point packs are there, milk powders, butter, cheese. For every single category, we have price point packs. And if you evaluate our portfolio of more than 1,200 SKUs, there is a sizable number of SKUs in every category, which is 5, 10, 15, 20 rupees price points. So a strong distribution network, better coverage in the rural areas, more number of branches servicing each and every town within 200 kilometers of their radius, and a product mix which is very, very strong. And more importantly, the communication also. With digital also reaching rural areas, our strategy to go in regional languages as far as the social media is concerned, the mass media, the print, the television, outdoors. And all in all, as a brand, the traction for Amul and most trusted brands is pretty good in the rural areas. And the difference actually now with stronger communication, better telecommunication, good road network, the difference divide between the rural and urban is actually shrinking and coming down. So that means better opportunities for us as brands to meet the aspirations of the young segment in the rural areas. They have a good purchasing power, and that's going to give us a very, very strong demand in the future.
Absolutely. So expecting strong demand in the future in the rural area as well. Lastly, Mr. Mehta, before we let you go, I just want to understand in terms of your value-added products, how is the overall growth that you're anticipating in those products as well? What is the target that you have?
See, milk fortunately is a superfood. So every single component of milk has a huge value attached to it. Be it the fats that we consume in form of butter or ghee, or the solids not fat, which is stronger component is protein, lactose, and so on. And milk by itself as a complete food is a very, very strong product. So with more than 100 dairy plants now, Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated our latest plant at Varanasi, which is a state-of-the-art 5 lakh litre dairy plant expandable to 10 lakh. So with 100 dairy plants, with a huge product portfolio and going down to the rural areas, this is a very, very strong thing. And milk per se, when you sell in package form, is the best form of value addition. With zero inventory, and a very quick turnover, I think it's the best form of value, because that's where commodity prices go up and down, but the consumer prices go steady. But having said that, apart from milk, which is half of our turnover, the products like milk powders, the butter, the ghee, the cheese, the ice cream, the beverages, each one of them add value to milk that we buy from our farmers. And today, if you spend 100 rupees on Amul products, 85% goes back to the farmer. So it's a very, very tightly calibrated game, very cost efficient, very cost effective, value for money for the consumers, and the best price for the producers. And that's how we are able to pay the best price to our farmers, better than any European farmer or an American farmer or a New Zealand farmer. And the consumers obviously get the best products at the most value for money pricing. So the outlook is pretty good, and the value addition that we do in milk, both as a whole or breaking down the components, be it the protein or the probiotics or different categories that we get into value addition with expansion in manufacturing using state-of-the-art technology, which means milk, which is the largest agricultural crop of India, will continue to give livelihood to more than 10 crore farmer families across the country, and obviously nourishment to more than a billion consumers like us.
Mr. Mehta, we all must confess unanimously that there is nothing better than the Amul butter in the entire world. Right? You travel anywhere, just nothing compares to that salted butter.
Thank you so much. We are exporting to already almost 50 countries, and we plan to increase our base in different parts of the world. And the vision that we have been given by Honorable Prime Minister to be the biggest dairy in the world, let's hope we are able to make it possible in the shortest possible time.
You just have to, because there's nothing compares with that product of yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll end with a traditional quote, "Aapke muh mein ghee shakkar."
And butter.
Amuls. Okay, Mr. Mehta, great having you on the show today. Thank you so much for taking the time out.